welcome to another Dead by Daylight video. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the nurse, the fourth killer of Dead by Daylight. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the nurse is the fourth killer in the game and the first killer to have an alternate movement speed to everyone else. So instead of moving at 115% speed or 4.6 meters a second, she instead moves at 96.25% movement speed or 3.85 meters a second, which I'm sure most of you know is slower than survivors by 3.75% or 0.15 meters per second. So she's a little bit slower than survivors. And she also has a height of average, which means she's quite a bit smaller than the rest of the killers. Well, not the rest, the ones that I've currently done so far, Trapper, Wraith, Hillbilly. She's quite a bit smaller than them all, but she does hover above the ground a little bit. So she isn't tiny. She also has a terror radius of 32 meters, just like the rest of them. And her special ability is a blink, which is sort of like a teleport, where she can charge it up, and the moment you use it, her hand is fully open, and you can see two little orbs in her hand. And then the longer you charge it, she'll close her hand into a fist, and when it's fully closed into a fist, you can let go. Or you can let go throughout that whole thing, but when it's fully closed, that means that the blink is fully charged and it sends you the furthest distance you can, which is about 20 meters. And then after that, she can use her second one, which she has a short window where she can either swing her weapon, or she can start charging her second blink charge, where that can go to about halfway before she goes into a sort of fatigue where your screen darkens, she faces the floor, and she can't attack or use her blink until it's over. You can see when it's over because you'll get the prompt to use your blink, and you'll be looking up and your screen won't be dark anymore. And you can use that second blink, or sometimes you do have to go into fatigue because you might not know where a survivor is and you don't want to take the risk. But you also have, pretty simple killer overall. You can swing out your second blink, or you can swing out your first blink, and her blinks also break the trial a bit because she can just go through walls, she can just teleport through the walls, she can teleport through ceilings and floors. So if you're on a map with 2 stories, she can just teleport down or up onto the alternate story. And she can teleport through walls, so that obviously means that she can teleport through pallets and windows. So you have to play against her in a not very conventional way. And when she is actually mid-blink, when she's teleporting, she is an instant teleport. She does have to travel. She does have travel time, but she moves incredibly quick. She moves at 13.33 meters a second, or 333.25% speed, which is insanely quick. That's like 3.3 times the speed of survivors. So insane. But yeah, that's the basics of the nurse. So then we'll go into the strategies and tactics that nurse players commonly use. Okay, so one extremely common strategy that nurses will use is, because you blink, because as she closes her fist she moves further, what you can actually do is, if you're looking up a bit, you can guarantee let you go the furthest possible distance, but the more you look down into the floor, the less distance you'll go. And a very common strategy that survivors will do against a nurse is, when they charge their blink, when the survivors think, okay, the nurse has a blink charge where if I start running at them, if I start running at the nurse will blink past me, so then I will make enough distance. And then survivors, that's something survivors commonly do. So what the nurse can do to counteract that is, they can look down to a certain degree into the floor. Like, if you've got your blink charged fully at 20 meters and a survivor's at about 15 meters of you and they start running towards you, you can look down like a fair amount, and instead of blinking that full 20 meters, you'll blink. It will still take the same amount of time it would take you to blink that 20 meters, but you'll only blink about 10-ish meters. So it does sort of, it is, you know, good survivors will react to it. They'll see you look down, or they'll see that your blink is taking a long time but you aren't really going anywhere, because the nurse, when she blinks, she leaves behind like a white trail. They'll see, okay, it's taking a long time for her to travel a short distance, which means she has looked down, so I should start running forward again. But that is generally the most common strategy. And another really, really powerful strategy is, nurse players will use 4 perks to, or 2, 3 or 4 perks to give aura reading, where you can basically see the survivors through walls. So obviously, being able to see the survivors through walls and being able to teleport through walls makes for a pretty deadly strategy. You can see where they are at all times, and then you can just teleport right on top of them. So that is not, that is an extremely powerful way to play nurse. You'll see a lot of nurses commonly use, at least one aura reading perk in their perk set, because it's just so powerful on nurse, and there's so many things you can do with aura reading on nurse. Because one key thing is, survivors have the third person camera, obviously, so they can peek around corners. They can see you, you can't see them. If you have an aura reading perk though, you can see them, and they might not know that. So you can then teleport. You can fake looking like you're going away, charge your blink to just enough to the distance that you think they're about, and then turn to them really quick and teleport to them, and then you basically get a free hit because the survivors just will not expect it at all. It's not really a strategy, but it's still powerful, and nurses can use it, just using their ears. Like, sound on this killer is amazing. If you're on like a 2-story map and you can hear someone running above you, you can literally just look up, teleport, and bang, you get a free hit just because you heard footsteps, or you heard an injured sound, or you hear breathing. You can hear breathing on the other side of the wall. You can just teleport through the wall and get a hit. Just using your ears is so key, and as you get better, you'll have more game sense, obviously, so you'll know when survivors will be sitting where and when they will be sitting. So you can use that game sense, and you can think, well, if I was a survivor, where would I be in this situation? And that is usually where they will be. They don't, against nurse you do have to play a little bit unconventional. You do have to run a bit of weird pathing, because she can just teleport through walls. If you just try to loop her like a normal killer, you will not be successful. So you need to be aware, and you need to move weirdly. like a way that a normal killer might be able to hit you. You move that way, and the nurse won't expect you to move that way. And yeah, those are common strategies for nurse. She doesn't really have too much strategies. Again, she's quite a simple killer, really. She has a fairly, like medium height skill floor, but then the skill ceiling isn't very high above that, to be honest. She isn't the hardest killer to master, but she is the most powerful. So if you want to win every single game you play, then practicing nurse will definitely get you there. You will 100% lose the first few games you play, because this killer is extremely difficult to begin. At the very beginning, she is very hard to play, but after them few games you'll be getting a kill, and then the next game you'll probably get like 3 kills, and the next game you'll be getting 4, and then 4, and then 4, and then 4, and then 4. You'll just be absolutely destroying. In the game in the background that you would have seen at the start, I won at 5 generators. One of them gave up because this killer is just so good and so oppressive that they just can't really get into the game. They can't get a good foothold into the game against this killer, because even though they do move slow, the blink is just so much quicker. You can use your first blink to move through the map. Commonly, nurses will use the first blink to move through the map, but they won't use the second because it isn't really much distance. And if you go into a chase with a survivor, then you've got nothing to chase them with. They just get free distance on you because you're slower than them. But all in all, difficult to learn, not very difficult to master. And you don't even need to master her to be good with her, and you don't even need to master her to win your games with her. Like, I don't remember a time where I played against a decent, good nurse that knew what they were doing and I won. Like the last nurse I played against, she just absolutely annihilated the entire team at 5 generators because it's so easy. Honestly, it's so easy to play against the killer. So easy to play as the killer, and it's just not. It's very difficult to play against a decent nurse player. But anyway, let's get into the builds that you might use of her. Okay, so back into Dead by Daylight now. This is the old so I'll change it to default cosmetic face actually. So this is what she looks like default. And this is the aura reading build that I was telling you about. This is some of the most common perks on Nurse because aura reading is just so powerful on her. You've got barbecue and chili, where when you hook a survivor, survivors outside of 40 meters are revealed for 5 seconds. You've got lethal pursuer, where at the start of the trial, everyone's aura gets revealed for 9 seconds, and then aura reading periods from other perks are increased by 2 seconds, so instead of 5, barbecue and chili becomes 7. You've got deadlock, where when a generator gets finished, the entity blocks the generator of the most progress for 25 seconds, and you see its aura in white, so just an overall good slowdown perk. And a nowhere to hide, where when you kick a generator, it reveals the auras of all survivors within 24 meters of you for 5 seconds, but with lethal pursuer that becomes 7. So when you hook a survivor at the start of the game, whenever you kick a generator, 3 things two things that are literally guaranteed to happen as long as you play well, and 1 thing that will be happening a lot because nowhere to hide is such a good perk. This is overall a really good build. You've got deadlock, so even if you're not playing the best game of it ever, you will not be absolutely losing by a landslide because this perk is just really, really good. And then the rest of them are just common aura reading perks. Like you can expect these from a nurse, and they'll still get you killed because they're just so good on her. And 2 really good add-ons for nurse is the Torn Bookmark, which is one of the iridescent add-ons, which gives you 3 blink charges, but it increases the recharge time by 30%. Overall, that's not a big deal. 3 blink charges gives you an absolutely ginormous margin of error, where you very rarely fail a blink. So yeah, it's just a really good add-on. And then you have Campbell's Last Breath, one of the purple add-ons, where when her fist is clenched fully, you can let go of the blink, and then instead of letting you then charge the blink and let it go again, the nurse will instantly do a fully charged blink, so as if her fist was fully closed again, she will instantly do another one in the direction she is currently facing. So that means it takes a little bit of skill where you can just like 99% charge your blink, so it doesn't happen mid-chase, for example. But it is really good for getting around the map, because that is like 40 meters that you can go in literally like 3 seconds. It is insane. If you can get good with this add-on, it's honestly probably her best add-on, because it is just amazing the distance you can get with this. This is the common perks, the perks that you'll have from Nurse herself, or that you will just get in the Blood Web. You have a Nurse's Calling, where auras of survivors who are being healed or healing another survivor are revealed to you within 28 meter range. So this is a pretty good perk, because again it's an aura reading one, and it shows you 2 survivors. And it shows you 2 survivors, and one is guaranteed to be in a vulnerable position, and you can get to that 28 meter range nearly instantly. You have Thanatophobia, where when a survivor is injured, dying, or hooked, repairing, sabotaging, and totem cleansing is reduced by 2%, so you repair generators, sabotage hooks, and cleanse totems 2% quicker for every injured, dying, or hooked survivor. And then when every single survivor is injured, that also happens to an extra 12%. So instead of it going 2, 4, 6, and then 8 on the 4th survivor, it goes 2, 4, 6, 18 on the 4th survivor, which 18% is pretty big. So that means they then have to use time to heal, which means you can kick a generator and progress gets pretty done. Progress gets reduced pretty quickly, pretty easily. Then you have Bitter Murmur, where whenever a generator is completed, survivors within 16 meters of it are shown to you for 5 seconds. And then when the last generator is completed, all survivors' auras are revealed to you within 10 seconds, or are revealed to you throughout the entire map for 10 seconds. Really, really good. Honestly, pretty underrated perk. It is good. It's really good aura reading. Again, it's aura reading on there, so of course it's going to be good. And then Whispers, where this perk will light up, so it's usually dark, but then it becomes lighter whenever a survivor is within 32 meter range of you, so in your terror radius, and you can hear slight like whispering kind of sounds. This is good, especially if you can get good with it. It's a really good perk, because you can rule out areas of the map that survivors cannot be, which becomes really good, because that means it's 32 meters as a slow killer that you don't have to check. This is overall, even though it's just common perks, this is overall a really good perk selection, perk choice. And this is a pretty common build for Nurse. 4 really good perks. You've got Grim Embrace. I think we'll have the add-ons, did I? Okay, I've already done that one. Okay, let's look at an add-on really quick. You got this one. So when you blink onto a survivor, it inflicts Mangled, which increases the time required to heal by 25% and lasts for 70 seconds. It's just like that Sloppy Butcher perk, but as an add-on. And then you've got Jenna's Last Breath, where when the nurse blinks, and then the nurse blinks again, she can choose to blink back to the first position by pressing a button, but then when she returns, she gets an extra blink. So she can blink to a place with her first blink to another place with her second blink, and if it's not a good position, she can blink back to the place she was after her first blink, and then she gets another blink. So that can really confuse some survivors, because the most she can have is 3, but with this she sort of has 4, it's sort of like 3.5, because you don't actually get to choose the 3rd position, only the 4th. But it's still a pretty good add-on, and just like Campbell's Last Breath, it can be really good, and will be really good if you get good with it, and you can get some really good value out of it. And then, yeah, common one, you got Grim Embrace, where whenever you hook a survivor and you move 16 meters away from the hook, all generators across the entire map get blocked for 10 seconds no matter what. And when you have hooked each survivor and you move 16 meters away from the hook, all generators get blocked for 40 seconds, so that is 40 seconds of no generator progress, and the Obsession's aura gets revealed to you for 6 seconds. Just a little cherry on top of an already really good perk, and 6 seconds of aura reading on the Obsession is really good, because it's Nurse. You've got Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, where 4 random hooks become white and Scourge hooks, and when you hook each survivor uniquely on a Scourge hook, the generator the most progress explodes, loses 20% progress, and begins to regress. And then you've got Nowhere to Hide, I've already gone over this. And then you've got Corrupt Intervention, where at tier 3, the 3 generators at the very beginning of the trial, the furthest away from you, are blocked for 2 minutes. So it can get you a really good early game, because basically it forces the survivors to come towards you, and also prevents generator progression instantly from the start of the game. And then you have, then you've got the Bad Man's Keepsake, where when you hit a survivor with a blink attack, you basically get Nurses calling on them for 60 seconds. So it's a good add-on. And then you have Heavy Panting. This is honestly one of the best add-ons, one of the easiest add-ons to use, where on her second blink, her lunge is 30% longer. So she has a little bit longer lunge, which means like you can miss your blinks, sort of. You miss your blinks in quotations a little bit more, but get away with it. Now, the Nurse also has add-ons that you want to avoid at all costs. There's the White Knit Cone, where lunges are 50% smaller. It just reduces your margin, it just makes your margin of error lower, so you have to blink basically on top of the survivors. And in fairness, it isn't bad for trying to learn to be really accurate with Nurse, but you don't need to be really accurate with Nurse, you just need to be sort of on target and you'll be fine. Then there's the Dull Bracelet, where your blink distance is reduced by 20%. So, you know, that's pretty obvious. Instead of maximum blink being 20 meters, it's 16. And then there is also the Matchbox, where you only have 1 blink charge, but the normal movement speed of Nurse is set to 4.4 meters per second, or 110% speed. So she moves just slower than normal killers, but she only has 1 blink. And then you've got the Spasmodic Breath, where when you hit Survivor with a blink attack, you cannot blink, but it makes you move at 4.6 for 1 minute, or 115% speed. So it basically just makes you a normal killer with no power. I'm sure you can see why that is not good. Some people also say Pocket Watch isn't very good. I personally believe, some people actually say it's detrimental. I personally believe it's quite a low tier add-on, but I think they believe it's detrimental because it gives you makes you succumb to fatigue slower, which means you're wasting more time not recharging your blink charge. I think that's quite a small negative for something that could possibly be a big negative. And then these two add-ons are really good for learning Nurse. You have the Plaid Flannel, where you can see a little target that where you will be blinking. Basically, you can see where you're going to be blinking because it shows a little location, sort of thing, a little glowing marker where you're going to appear from your blink. And then the Wooden Horse, where when you swing and you miss, the blink usually takes longer to recover, but with this one it just completely removes that, so it's good for learning Nurse, and it's also just a good add-on in general. To be honest, it's actually a pretty good add-on because not even the best Nurse misses blinks, so it just shaves off that little bit extra time. Honestly, pretty good add-on. And to be quite honest, except this one's sort of more of a funny one. You've got, you know, all of the add-ons, except from the ones that I have mentioned to be detrimental, they have their positives. But again, she does have 1, 2, 3, sort of 4, 5. You know, she's got 5 detrimental add-ons, so that's pretty crazy. But the rest of them are good. The rest of them are really good, actually. And they're the perk builds, they're the common add-ons, a lot of them, and they're also the detrimental add-ons. So I'll see you in the outro. Okay, so that was the deep dive into the Nurse. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I hope you'll try out the Nurse. She's quite a fun killer. Obviously, she's the best killer in the entire game, and she has been for the past like 7-ish years, and she probably will be until this game, you know, eventually shuts down or whatever. But yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. Hope you'll try her. Next week we'll be doing the Huntress. So yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, and goodbye.